Today we are making a video on RefreshOS. This is the boot menu of RefreshOS. In order to boot in a live boot, this is the option. So let's click on enter. It's going to take a maximum of 1 minute or minimum of 30 to 40 seconds. So we should wait for a few seconds and we should be having our desktop layout loaded. And I forgot to mention that I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is a VMware with 80 GB of hard disk, 4 GB of RAM and with 2 processors. So here is a loading or the welcome screen of RefreshOS. So it should take a few more seconds and we should be having our desktop layout loaded. It is a unknown Linux distro because there is nothing more information in the web or the YouTube. So I'm exploring with you. So it takes a few more seconds and we should be having our desktop layout completely loaded. I think it has a KDE desktop environment, I guess. I didn't go through all the website. They have a website. I'm going to show the website in a few seconds or a few minutes. So I think we almost have, I guess it's freezing or it's freezed at the logo. That means it should be working in or we should be having our desktop layout loaded completely. Just try to ignore the background noise because there is a construction and people are going crazy around my neighborhood. So still waiting. Almost 25 to 30 seconds completed, but still waiting. And I forgot to mention that I will be posting 2 videos daily without missing any day. If you want to watch that another video, you can watch that after watching this video. I will be also making another video because I'll post 2 videos daily without missing any day. I am making videos from almost 5 to 6 years, like I don't skip any day. So if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. So it's still loading. I don't know what happened, or it usually takes this much of time. I don't know, because this is the first time I'm making a content on the RefreshOS Linux. Usually it takes like every Linux distro takes like a maximum of 1 minute or under 30 seconds. And here we can see our mouse pointer, which is a KDE Plasma desktop environment mouse pointer. You can easily say that because this type of mouse pointer is only available in LXQT and KDE Plasma. The other desktop environment has different mouse pointers. I made a lot of content, so I know what mouse pointer looks in any different desktop environments. So this is a KDE Plasma or LXQT. We should wait for a few more seconds because it is taking a lot of time. It almost took like a 1 minute, I guess, but still we are stuck with the mouse pointer. I think still like 20 seconds, I guess. And we should be having our desktop loaded completely. So let's explore with you. Let me explore with you. I don't think this is a lightweight Linux distro. This is for the lightweight PCs because it is taking a lot of time. And by seeing this for duration, it should be using a lot of resources. Because if it's a lightweight Linux distro, it should be loaded up until now, because it is taking a lot of time, like a Deepin Linux and a Voyager Linux. Deepin Linux is the worst, but the Voyager Linux is the best because the look and the feel is good, but the resources consumption is a lot. I already made a video on it, so if you want to check that out, you can check that out. It's almost like a 1.5 minute, but we still don't have our desktop loaded. We just saw a desktop wallpaper and installer here, and we have our desktop loaded. I think it took like almost a 1.5 minute. I never seen like this except Deepin Linux. So let me change the display resolution because I'm running it on a VMware. If you change this option like stretch and keyboard display aspect ratio, it's going to automatically change the display resolution because I'm using a virtual machine. If you're using or if you installed it on your hard disk, you need to change by right clicking here and go to display settings, or you can go to the app menu or application menu and change the system settings and go to display settings. Let's first check the system monitor and see how much resources are consuming right now. And we have a GNOME desktop environment system monitor. It's a KDE Plasma desktop environment, but we have a GNOME desktop environment system monitor. These are all the processors running right now. Let's see the RAM consumption and CPU consumption, because it took a lot of time to load up the desktop layout. So we should be having an idea. It's almost a 1.7 GB. If you ask this Linux distro for 2 GB RAM, I'm going to say no, because it's almost a 1.7 GB. It's not impossible, and it's impossible to boot it in a 2 GB of RAM, because it's almost a 1.7 GB, and 2 GB RAM comes with like a 1.8 GB. So in order to use this Linux distro, you need to have like a 4 GB of RAM at least. Even I'm having a 4 GB of RAM. It took ages to load up, almost like a 1 minute or 30 seconds like that. So it's up to you to judge or use this Linux distro. And CPU is having a high peak in the beginning. It's quite common, and you should see the stable at like running like 1 minute or 60 seconds. You should be having CPU information also. So I'm going to open the system monitor again at the end of the video, so we should be having an idea of how much resources it consumes us after running through all the features, the applications, all those things. So if you want to remember this numbers, if you can remember it, if you want to write it down, or you can put the video side by side at the beginning of the video and ending of the video, you should be getting an exact numbers of how much resources are consumed. So let's check the about system monitor. It's a 42.0, which is old version, but it's okay. So let's close this thing and open this terminal, because we want to grab some of the information of the distro. Let's hope we get that information. About terminal is a LX terminal 0.4.0. Let's type in command, which is inxi -sv8. This is the command to grab all the distro info or get the distro info. It's taking a lot of time, and we have our information. So let's change the color so we can see properly. Display advanced shortcuts. I think this is the let's change the background color to white so you can see properly. And we have a custom colors, so let's change the solarize light and click OK. I think you can see this information, I guess. Let's try another color. So solarize it dark may help. Nope. Let's change to another color so we can see properly. Tango, click OK. I think you can see Tango properly. So host under system, host is a live, because we're running it on a live boot, and the kernel is a 5.15, and it's a 64-bit architecture, and GCC version is 11.3.0, and the KDE Plasma desktop environment is 5.24.7, which is the old version. You know what's the latest version already. So TKQT version is a 5.15.3, and distro is Ubuntu 1.23, which is 22.04.2 LTS Jammy Jellyfish. This is the code name of the Ubuntu, and machine is a VMware, because I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is a VMware. So it's going to say it's as a VMware, and BIOS FinoX version is a 6.00, and the RAM is almost a 1.64 GB of a 4 GB of RAM. So this is my CPU. If you want to go through the CPU, you can check this thing also. So let's scroll it down and find some of the other information, which is display is X11 server XORG version 1.21.1.3. So VM WGFX version is a 2.19.0.0, and monitor, some of the display resolutions are available here. Maximum is 1920 x 1080 and minimum is 640 x 480. So pipe wide version is a 0.3.4.8, and pulse audio version is a 15.99.1. So try to ignore the background noise. There is a construction going, and some of the people are going crazy around my neighborhood. They know I'm making a video because I make at the time, and they wantedly make these sounds because I can't do anything for that. They wantedly make this. They know what I'm doing, but they again want to do the sounds to ruin my video. So no problem, let's ignore them. And INXI version is a 3.3.13, and processors running right now are 271. Uptime is 7 minutes, and GCC is 11.3.0, and init systemd version is a 249. So the shell bash version is a 5.1.16. So let's type in another commands, for example INXI, which will give the same information but in a short form, same as the above information but in a short form. That's the point I'm trying to explain here. INXI dash small b, we get the same information as the above, and INXI dash capital G, here is the information again. Mesa is 22.2.5, and you can go through all this information by pausing the video if you want. So let's type in another command, which is cat etc:/issue, and hit enter, and it's a Ubuntu 22.04.2 LTS. So let's type in neofetch. Let's see if neofetch is pre-installed or not. Neofetch isn't installed, so let's try to install the neofetch by copying the command and pasting it under the live. It isn't installed, no problem. Let's type in htstop. Htstop is also not installed, so let's copy this thing and try to install it. Hit enter. So let's exit the thing. So let me show you the official website of the RefreshOS, and I will also show you how to download the RefreshOS Linux. So we have a Chromium browser as the default web browser, not the Firefox browser, because almost every Linux distro has the Firefox as the default web browser, but this one has a Chromium. A few Linux distro has Chromium, that's quite common, like a FerrenOS, and some other Linux distros has the Firefox, not the Firefox, Chromium web browser. Sorry for that. And you already know Chromium takes a lot of time to load up. So instead of waiting for the Chrome browser, let's go through the desktop features, which is a calendar and time and the notifications. And as you can see, there is a bit of delay or a freeze in here. So I can't I think it doesn't open properly if you open the web browser, because Chromium web browser takes a lot of resources, and if this takes a lot of resources, and the desktop feature is going to take a lot of time to launch. So instead of that, let's go to the web browser and go to the website. After going to downloads and completing the downloads and the official website, let's go to the desktop features. So let's type in the RefreshOS Linux as the search term to get into their website. RefreshOS, that's the search term you need to type in. I don't know, I tried to change the language, but it's opening the search settings. Let's close this thing. RefreshOS Linux, you need to completely type in like that, and we should be having a website. I don't know why it isn't opening. Let's RefreshOS. I think the website is called like eGoTech or something like that. Let's type in like that. We can't see the website, no problem. Let's go to the distro watch, because I found that on a distro watch, and we should be having our website there. Let me open the distro watch first, and let's scroll it down, and we should be finding our RefreshOS Linux. Here is the RefreshOS, and this will take to their website. I'm going to show you their URL. This is the URL, which is egotech.company dot hash not the colon slash egotech.company/download. And this is the URL. If you want to copy this URL, you can copy it, or you can type it in the search bar of your favorite browser. So this is the ISO file, which is a RefreshOS 1.23. This is the information. If you want to read it, you can read it. It's based on Ubuntu 20.04 LTS it's updated to Ubuntu 22.04 LTS and will be supported until 2025. Try to ignore because I am a bit of tired, so I'm stuttering. Try to ignore that. I hope you understand that. Let's go to downloads, and the mirror is from the Mediafire. This is the file size, which is around like a 3.6 GB, and here is our RefreshOS 1.23. As you can see, I'm using a VPN, so it's going to be slow for me. So this is the official website, and that's the downloading thing. And here are some of the screenshots. If you want, you can go through all these things. So let's check the about Chromium, because we forgot to show that. I forgot to show that. Version is 311.0 and it's a 64-bit. So let's go through all the desktop features right now. This is a date and time, which is common in a KDE desktop environment because it's a KDE desktop. So the features also will be same, nothing changes here. Devices and disk. And as you can see, there is a bit of a lag or the delay, or you can call it as a freeze, constantly here and there. So if you want to use it, you should be having a good what you call PC. And I have a good PC, mid-end PC, and I'm running it on a VMware, so it's going to be a bit of lag. I don't know how it performs on the main PC. So let's go through all these things. They gave some of the different types of applications from every desktop environment. So they have Deepin and XFCE and KDE Plasma and GNOME apps here. So let me close this thing, and these are all the apps which comes pre-installed. As you can see, these are all the apps which comes pre-installed. Not much of the apps, but they gave the important apps. That's the main thing here. They just gave the main apps like a GIMP, media players, and some Thunderbird Mail TM or Thunderbird Mail. This is the version. This is the website. If you want to go to the website, just click on this thing, or I showed the URL already, so you can type that thing. These are the information. Here is the information. I already showed the complete distro information, so no need to worry about this thing. So let's open just the important app and end the video, because there is nothing in it. So if the installation process is available, so I'm going to show you the installation process. I forgot to show that. So let me show you the installation process. I'm not going to install it on my PC because I don't want to. I'm just going to show you how to install it. So we need to wait for the installer to load up. Again, everything in this Linux distro takes ages to load up. Thank God to load up pretty fast. Here is the installer, which is similar in the KDE desktop environment, because it has a KDE desktop environment, and the installer is from KDE desktop environment. So let's choose the language first. There are plenty of languages available, so I'm choosing the English as the language. Click on continue, and we should be having our keyboard here. The marker will go down, as you can see here. You can choose your own language here for the keyboard layout. I'm choosing the English United States because I want to. So here is the updates and other software. Again, this is a common and same steps in every Linux distro. Just the design will be changed, but the same process will be in the every Linux distro. We need to choose the normal installation or minimal installation in every Linux distro, but you have just a normal installation here. In normal installation, you get a web browser, utilities, office software, plus additional internet applications and media players. Internet applications means like a Thunderbird, Firefox, like that, internet related, and media players like VLC media player and some of the media players you already know that. I don't need to explain all that things. So in the other options you need to check on the both options because they are important. If you want to do that later, you can customize it on later. It all depends on you. The options are like download updates while installing RefreshOS. This will install the latest updates. So if you want to check that, you can check that. If you want to uncheck, you can do that. And other option is like install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media formats. This will help like fixing like a Wi-Fi and some additional formats of media. So if you want to check this, you can check this. You can do that later if you want. It's clearly up to you. Click on continue. It's going to prepare Ubuntu drivers. It's going to take 30 to 40 seconds maximum to prepare everything. It takes that much of usual timing in every Linux distro, but in KDE Plasma we got instantly. So here is my hard disk. If you have a multiple hard disk or a multiple disks, you can choose that on your own. I'm choosing the guided use entire disk. It's going to erase everything and boot the RefreshOS as a single boot. It will delete the current operating system and it's going to boot it in a RefreshOS. So be careful, and you need to having an idea of what you're doing here. If you want to boot or dual boot in the dual boot operating systems, so you need to go with the manual and resize your partitioning, all these things. You should be having an idea of what you're doing there. So be careful while doing this, and always boot it in a live boot first, then go with the installation after you're satisfied without bugs, all that things. So that's my opinion, or that's my tip from me. Always boot it in a live boot first, then go with the installation. Always use the live boot Linux distro like 7 to 8 hours. After you're satisfied without bugs, go with the installation. Until that, don't go, because there should be having some of the bugs which will ruin your PC. So that's my tip. So be careful while choosing this option. I'm choosing like this and installing now. It's going to take a few seconds and give you the time zone. You need to set your time zone and location like that, and you should provide the user information like a username, password, and you should be clicking on install. It's going to take like a maximum of 20 minutes or minimum like 5 to 10 minutes. And after that, you should be having your RefreshOS 1.23 on your VMware or hard disk. Whatever option you choose, you should be installed the RefreshOS on that device. So this is the installation process. Let me close this thing and let's try to see what are the wallpapers available with the RefreshOS 1.23. Again, it is consuming a lot of resources. It's clearly up to you to judge whether to use this Linux distro or not. So these are all the wallpapers available. Just a few wallpapers from the RefreshOS, and other wallpapers are from KDE desktop environment. As you can see, almost everything, just a 1 or 2 wallpapers, that's it. Let me change the wallpaper and check the folder view version, which will be 3.0. I think we covered everything, I guess. So let me open just a few apps and end the video. For example, GIMP. Let's check the version of the GIMP and Thunderbird Mail and VLC Media Player. These are the important apps. So let's check the information or the about of the apps. I opened like 3 apps at once. Let's see how much time it takes. And we have our VLC Media Player. The version should be like a 3.0 or something, 3.0.16. So let me close this thing. And GIMP should be like a 2.10.34, I guess. And Thunderbird also loaded. The version is 102.8.0 for the Thunderbird email client, and about the GIMP 2.10.30. So I think we covered everything, I guess. I showed the installation, I showed some of the apps. We have a LibreOffice, so let me even open the LibreOffice and let's check the system monitor and end the video, because there is nothing much other than that, and we have a bit of lag or the delay in the Linux distro, and it will be like worse to use for hours. Only if you have a good RAM or the best CPU or the best PC, you should be okay with this using Linux distro. If not, it will be a bit of torture for using this Linux distro. So we should be having our LibreOffice. Let me check the version. The version is 7.3.7.2. The latest version is like a 7.5.2.2. So I think we covered everything. So let me close this thing and open the software center or the app manager. Let's go through some of the things and open the system monitor again. And as you can see, a bit of time consuming in the software manager, and we also have some error like thing, I guess. Installed these apps, and we have a lot of updates like a 99, and the file size is around like a 400 MB, around 400 MB, which is a 371 MB. We have a lot of things to update. I'm not going to update because I didn't even installed it on my PC. So I'm just going to end this video, and I don't want to even use this Linux distro after making the content. So let's open the system monitor, and we have a Sudoku game in the apps. If you want to play that, you can play it. And the memory is almost like a 2.2 GB. At the beginning of the video it was like a 1.7 GB, and at the ending of the video it's almost like a 2.0 GB, and it's almost like a 500 MB of resources consumed. And CPU is a bit good here. CPU is good, but the RAM consumption is more. If you're using if you having a 2 GB of RAM, in my opinion it will be worse to use this Linux distro. I'm having a 4 GB of RAM, and it's a bit of delay and lag some here and there, so it's clearly up to you to use it or not. If you ask me, I'm not going to recommend this Linux distro because there are a lot of plenty of Linux distros available, so you can go through all this Linux distro instead of this Linux distro. And this Linux distro also has the older KDE desktop environment, so it's clearly up to you to use it or not. You the one should judge it. So again, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. It helps make a good content for you. Other than that, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace out. I will be making another video today, so if you want to check that out, you can check that out after this video. So peace out.